She said, "I'm not ready for a serious relationship after a year of being together." I replied, "That's okay." After that, I stopped supporting her financially, stopped the care and attention, and only asked her out casually from time to time. She finally learned what not ready really meant when I started dating her cousin. She said, "I'm not ready for a serious relationship after a year together." I paid the bill, drove her home, and that was it. She looked a bit confused, but I was done talking. Sometime later, she finally understood what "that's okay" meant. When she saw me walking into her family's dinner party, holding hands with her cousin Emily, she just froze, shocked, angry, maybe even embarrassed. I just nodded, said hello to her parents, and carried on. "That's okay" didn't mean I agreed. It meant I was finished trying to prove my worth to someone who never saw it. If she wasn't ready, that was fine. I just didn't realize I'd end up finding someone who actually was, in her own family. When I met Laura, it felt easy. She was funny, warm, and had that calm confidence that draws you in without trying. We met through mutual friends at a small birthday dinner, and I remember thinking how different she seemed from everyone else there. Quiet, but not shy. I was the one who made the first move. Texted her the next day, asked her out for coffee. One date turned into dinner, then into weekends spent together. I drove everywhere, paid for everything, and honestly, I didn't mind. I liked taking care of things. It felt good to make her happy. The first few months were perfect. We went on road trips, tried new restaurants, watched shows together. She laughed at my bad jokes. I remembered every small date. Our first coffee, the first movie, even the day she told me her favorite dessert. I thought being that attentive would mean something. She never really posted pictures of us, but she said she liked to keep her private life off social media. I believed her. I thought it was mature. In hindsight, it was one of the first signs that the relationship wasn't as balanced as I wanted to think. Around the 6th month, things started shifting. She mentioned money being tight, rent going up, and how stressful work had become. I wanted to help, so I did. I started paying for her groceries here and there, covering bills when she was short on cash. Eventually, I began transferring money for her rent because she said I earned more and it made sense. It didn't feel like a big deal. I figured that's what people do when they care about each other. It snowballed fast. She'd mention needing a new phone, a new bag, or help with her car payment, and I'd step in. Every time she'd say something like, "You're seriously the most supportive person I know." And that was enough to make me feel useful. At some point, I became her problem solver. When she had issues at work, I'd stay up helping her draft emails. When she fought with her parents, I'd listen for hours. When her friends upset her, I'd drive over just to calm her down. I told myself that's what good partners do. But over time, I just turned into someone she expected to be there, not someone she really noticed. I noticed she started avoiding certain topics, especially the future. Every time I brought up plans like maybe traveling together or talking about moving in, she'd deflect. "Let's not plan too far ahead," she'd say. "I just want to live in the moment." She also kept me separate from her circle. I met her friends once or twice. She never invited me to meet her family. I'd already introduced her to mine, and most of my friends knew about us. I should have seen it then. The signs were all there. The one-sided effort, the emotional distance, the quiet excuses. But I kept convincing myself she just needed time. That if I kept showing up, kept proving I was reliable, she'd eventually meet me halfway. You don't notice it at first, but when you're always the one giving, you start to feel empty. You don't notice it right away, but one day you wake up and realize you've built a life around someone who wouldn't even notice if you stopped trying. By the end of that year, I was drained. I was working longer hours to afford everything, barely seeing my own friends, and constantly adjusting my life to make hers easier. But when I thought about taking a step back, I felt guilty, like pulling back would make me the bad guy after everything I'd given. Looking back, I think that's what made her final words hit so hard. After everything, after every dinner, every bill, every ride, every late-night talk, and to hear, "I'm not ready for a serious relationship," was less about the words and more about what they meant. It's not that she didn't want a relationship, just not one with me. And that realization didn't come with anger. It came with silence. Because deep down I already knew the truth. I just didn't want to say it out loud. It was just another Thursday. I had just helped Laura deal with a small crisis. She'd been stressing over a work presentation that went wrong, and I spent hours walking her through how to fix the report, checking her slides, even rewriting some of it with her. She thanked me, kissed my cheek, said I was the most patient guy ever. After dinner, I asked her if we could talk about something serious, just a talk. We had been together for a year, and I wanted to know where things were heading. I wasn't asking for marriage or anything huge. I just wanted to know if she saw a future in this, or if I was just part of her present. She got quiet, didn't even look up from her phone. Then she sighed, set it down and said, "Ryan, I'm not ready for a serious relationship." It didn't sound emotional. It sounded like a statement she had practiced. Calm, polite, final. I didn't say anything for a few seconds. Inside it just felt heavy. Not anger, not heartbreak. More like being tired of pretending it was working. I had spent months trying to make things work that clearly never would, so I just said, "That's okay." She looked up, confused. Like she was expecting me to argue, to convince her otherwise. When I didn't, she asked, "That's it?" "Yeah," I said. "That's it." I paid the bill, wished her a good night, and left. The drive home was quiet, and for once I didn't feel like fixing anything. It was strange. I wasn't angry, just clear. For the first time in months, everything made sense. The next few days were weird. She texted like nothing had changed. Memes, small talk, even sent a selfie of her at brunch. I replied, but short. I wasn't cold, just done. Then came the first test. A few days later, she messaged saying her rent was due and she was a little short this month. Normally, I would have transferred money without thinking. This time, I just said, "I can't help you with that anymore." She replied with a question mark, then, "Are you serious?" "Yeah," I wrote. "I think it's better if we keep things separate." She didn't like that. The tone changed fast, from surprised to annoyed. "Wow, after everything, you're really going to be petty?" I just left it at "take care." That was the first real moment she realized something had shifted. After that, I stopped doing the little things too. No more good morning texts. No reminders about her deadlines. No checking in. When she called, I let it ring out if I was busy. When she asked to hang out, I said I was working late. At first, she brushed it off. Then she got annoyed, then confused. 2 weeks later, she asked, "Did I do something wrong?" I told her, "No, you didn't. You just said you weren't ready, so I'm giving you space." It wasn't sarcasm. I meant it. I was just done trying to fill a role she didn't even want me to play. From there, her behavior flipped. She started calling more, texting more, even suggesting we meet up to talk things out. I agreed once, out of courtesy. When we met, she was suddenly warm again and laughing, touching my arm, asking if I missed her. She said maybe she was ready now, or at least thought she could be, but it didn't feel right anymore. The switch wasn't because she had a change of heart. It was because she felt the loss of attention. That's different from love. I told her I didn't think it made sense to go back. She didn't take it well. Said I was cold, said I'd changed, said I must have met someone else. I hadn't. I was just done being the backup plan in my own relationship. Over the next few months, we drifted completely. Every once in a while, she'd text, a random "hey" or "I saw something that reminded me of you." I'd reply politely, but nothing more. Meanwhile, I started focusing on myself again. Went back to the gym, saw friends I hadn't seen in ages, picked up some old hobbies I'd dropped. It was strange how fast the noise faded when she wasn't in it. People always talk about heartbreak like it's this big emotional collapse, but for me, it was more like quiet clarity. Once you stop explaining, stop fixing, stop hoping, there's not much left to grieve. By the time she reached out again, months later, it was for a different reason. She wanted to catch up. Said she missed the way I made her feel safe. I said I was glad she remembered, but that I wasn't the same person anymore. She didn't understand that "that's okay" wasn't passive. It was a boundary, a line I should have drawn long before she said those words. And that's what made what came next so strangely satisfying. Not because it was revenge, but because it was real closure. It had been around 4 months since Laura and I stopped talking. By then, I wasn't angry anymore, just indifferent. I'd moved on with my routine, spent more time at the gym, focused on work, caught up with friends. For the first time in a long while, I felt like myself again. One weekend, I stopped by a small cafe downtown to meet an old co-worker. While waiting for him, I ran into someone familiar, Emily, Laura's cousin. I'd met her once at a small family dinner early in our relationship. She was the quiet one that night, polite but reserved. She recognized me first. "Ryan. Hey, long time no see." We talked for a few minutes, mostly small talk. It was surprisingly comfortable. No tension, no weirdness. She mentioned she'd just started a new job nearby and that she often came to this cafe to work. We exchanged numbers, nothing more than friendly. At first, we'd text about random things, work, movies, weekend plans. Then we started grabbing coffee together every so often. It wasn't planned, it just happened naturally. There was no flirting, no pressure. It was nice to talk to someone who listened and didn't expect anything. Over time, it became clear how different she was from her cousin. Emily paid for her own coffee, offered to split the bill at lunch, asked how my week was instead of talking about hers the whole time. She didn't take things for granted. When I told her a bit about what happened with Laura, she didn't comment much. Just said, "Sometimes people like the idea of being cared for more than the person who's doing the caring." That line stuck with me. A few weeks later, she invited me to a small get-together with her friends. It felt easy. No pretending, no walking on eggshells. I could actually be myself. By the time we started dating, it didn't even feel like something new. It felt like the natural next step. We were careful at first, mostly because of the obvious connection. The real twist came at her uncle's birthday dinner. Laura's father. I didn't plan to go. Emily asked if I was comfortable with it, and honestly, I was. I wasn't trying to prove anything. I just didn't want to keep hiding a relationship that was healthy and real. We walked in together, hand in hand. Laura was there. I didn't know until the moment we stepped through the door. She froze when she saw us. The entire room went quiet for a few seconds. You could almost hear the gears turning in her head. She didn't say anything, and neither did I. Emily greeted everyone like normal. I just nodded politely and found a seat. It wasn't awkward for long. People went back to talking and eating, though I noticed Laura glancing our way a few times. That moment wasn't about revenge. It wasn't a plan or a setup. It was just timing, and maybe a bit of irony. When she said she wasn't ready for a serious relationship, I believed her. What I didn't realize was that she meant she wasn't ready with me. And that's fine, because I found someone who was, and it happened to be someone who already knew who she was and didn't need me to fix anything. Sometimes one thing ends and another just starts. No big lesson, just timing. After that dinner, things settled naturally. Laura didn't reach out and I didn't expect her to. There wasn't anything left to say. Whatever needed to be said was already done months ago. Through silence, choices, and the way both of us moved on. I heard from a mutual acquaintance later that she was upset about how things turned out. That's fair. I guess I would have felt the same if things were reversed. But I didn't feel guilty or proud, just done. Emily and I kept seeing each other. Slowly, comfortably. We built something that didn't depend on one person giving more than the other. We share costs, plans, time, everything. It's not about control or independence. It's about balance. Sometimes I catch myself comparing the two relationships, not out of bitterness, but as a reminder of how much I've learned. When someone says they're not ready for a serious relationship, believe them. Don't wait around hoping they'll change their mind. They're telling you, in the clearest way possible, that they don't see you as part of their ready. Then love doesn't mean constantly proving your worth. The right person won't need evidence. They'll already see it. I don't think what happened was revenge. It just worked out in a way that made both of us face reality. She learned that taking people for granted has consequences. I learned that walking away quietly can be more powerful than trying to fix what's already broken. Now things are simple. Emily and I still see each other regularly. We cook dinner together, go for walks, make plans for small trips. It's not perfect, but it's honest. Sometimes I still think about that night. She said she wasn't ready, and I said, that's okay. Back then it felt like the end, but maybe it was just the start of something better. She wasn't ready, and that's fine. She just didn't expect not ready to mean losing me for good. And somewhere in that space between letting go and being free, I found someone who was ready.